Hey y'all, welcome to my garden. It's Tasha here at Mind, Body, and Soil. Come and stroll the garden early morning with me as I go through and check things out. We will have a future garden tour where we can go through everything a little more closer in detail. But this morning I am just coming out to walk through and checking out to see all what damage has been done with the tree service company that was here to cut my neighbor's tree down and damaged a quarter of my yard. So I'm taking a walk through just to check out my plants, make sure I don't have any pest damage. Everything that is going is still looking well. I did notice when they cut the tree down, which they brought it down on my side of the yard, and we will see that at the end of the video. I noticed the leaves had some disease on it, and a lot of those leaves fell into my garden beds as well as my fabric pots and the other pots that I have things planted in as well. So I'm going through just to make sure that I got all of those leaves and branches out so that that does not affect anything growing, any of my food, and even my flowers and my medicinals. You'll notice here I am a chaotic gardener, so I do have things planted everywhere. I don't like to put all of my plants of one variety all together in one area. I do like to switch them around and put things in different places. Just because if you have some crops damaged, that whole area of just one crop won't be damaged. You will still have some somewhere else. And plus, I'll just get bored with everything matchy-matchy. So I do like to shake things up in my garden. These two green stalks here are my herbs for kitchen cooking, as well as some things to grab tea. If I don't feel like going all the way out into the back garden, I can stop here and get things. I also have two of the lilac smaller green stalks planted with hot peppers, as well as that bed there has some hot peppers as well as some herbs and strawberries. The two green stalks there are also full of strawberries as well. I do like to keep those up close so that I am able to keep an eye on them. The squirrels are menaces and they can do quite a bit of damage in my neighborhood. Some of the larger things that you see growing are some of my perennial things that have come back. I'm here in Zone B where I do grow. We tend to plant our things out around Mother's Day weekend. This year the weather has been really iffy. We had quite a few cold snaps. I had to bring out a few greenhouse covers and cover things up quite a bit of my summer crops just to try to keep them intact. Some things I had to pull all together and replant. So it is always a good idea to seed heavy more than you would need. You never know when something happens and you need to replace that particular plant. Over here, I have a few pots of some of my tea herbs that are also planted together. Things that I would make tea blends together are planted closely, as well as my rose garden here in memory of my grandma. She was a big rose lover, so I dedicate this area to her. Some are blooming, some have just been potted up. This particular planting here is in memory of my brother. Centronetta there in those teapots with those flowers. Thought that was a unique spin on keeping mosquitoes away this year. You also notice down there I still have some of my winter sowing plants in there. Again, overseeded, overplanted, and I will find somewhere for those to go, but I have began taking those out, and most of those are planted already. Never mind the mess. I am still in cleanup as I go process, so things are not exactly where they all will end up. Here's a water fountain that I did make myself with the two different size planters there. Lots of chamomile this year. Last year I just didn't have enough, so I wanted to make sure I had enough this year. This particular bed started off as an allium bed, but soon realized it was getting a lot more sun than it did last year. So I did go ahead and throw a few extra crops over there again, just to be on the safe side. These Dollar Tree stackables here, I potted up for my daughter's best friend. She loves her salads, so this is the area she can come and get whatever she needs whenever she needs it. Here's my potato row here, as well as a purple sprouting broccoli that kind of just showed up there. I do have Yukon Gold red potatoes, a pink potato, and quite a few blue potatoes there. This here is my Ollie's planter find, and I just threw some seeds in there and they're starting to germinate. This bed here housed more of my lettuces. I did go ahead and put some pepper plants in, so when the lettuce bolts, I can pull those out and there will be no wasted space. This was a brassica bed for a very particular reason. My neighbor behind me has a really huge tree that leans my direction, so this part of the garden is always shaded. So that is why the brassicas were here, and they would have done great. We'll see here where this tree company has shown up very unexpectedly on my side of the fence and brought that tree down, and it destroyed a quarter of my garden. That garden housed most of my bulbs as well as my medicinals. When they were done, they left one lily standing. I'll come back in a future video and show what I made of that area after they destroyed it. Here's just a few perennial flowers as well as a bush squash. This plant bed here, it houses a few tomatoes as well as some celery, and I did interplant different varieties of basil in the middle. I did outline all of my beds heavily this year with onions. I want to see if it will truly help keep the pests down. On the edge of that bed with my makeshift trellis are cucumbers. The plan is that they will trail up and come down. This bed here houses some collards as well as some pink celery. And in the middle is my comfrey, which again is perennial in my area, as well as a few others that are in there. The chicory there, I did go ahead and cut that down. It was about 4 feet tall. So here's one of my special pepper plants that I seeded. It's one that I really want to be able to harvest, so I tucked it into that bed. This area is my orchard area. I will show you a few of those labels. And also behind it are my raspberries, my blackberries, as well as my blueberries. This area is tomato row, so I did go ahead and put quite a few tomatoes over in the fabric bags. This area used to house some of my green stalks, but I wanted to make better use using more grow bags for my tomatoes versus all in ground. This here is the corn, the beans, and the squash. I did go ahead and put a couple tomato plants there as well as some sunflowers, so I guess we'll call it the 5 sister method or the Tasha method. Moving over is just a whole view of what that tomato area looks like, and that is housed in front of my pole barn. This area has always been a melon bed as well as pole beans. I typically put my pole beans to the back, that way they are trellising on the fence and I'm able to share with my neighbors. We do have some sunflowers. Now this area here is the jungle. It does house some of my perennials and a couple of tomato plants, but I threw out some of my marigold seeds I collected last year just to see if they were viable. And I'd say they're pretty viable because there's tons of them that has popped up. So I will be taking those out and putting those in places where I am missing marigolds throughout the garden. Here we'll find okra, different varieties, as well as my roselle. That is a cranberry Florida roselle. We also have a white roselle as well as a sour roselle over there. Here are a few new fruits that I've seeded. It's new to me, so I have not tasted them, but they do grow well, at least in my area. This end of this particular bed are my purple tomatillos. Moving along to the bottom of this bed, you will find more collards. And again, this was the area that was also shaded. So I'm hoping that they will still do well in this area, along with a lot of my medicinals. This particular end of the bed housed my medicinals as well as some herbs. The opposite end is where they destroyed. That portion of it I was able to save. So we'll take a quick look at what it looks like when they were done destroying my garden. Just a few lilies left. Here's the overview of what that area looks like. Thanks for walking the garden with me. I'll be back at another time with a future garden tour. If you have not subscribed and you like my content, please do consider subscribing to my channel. We'll do more garden tours, more things in depth. That way you're able to see the growth throughout the season and also what I'm able to harvest and what I do to preserve my food for my family. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and be a part of my garden community here. I will go over and show you a couple of the green stalks that are back here. That in-ground bed there are all sweet peppers. I had one borage plant kind of in this area, but not really in this area. And of course, borage reseeds like crazy, and it has popped up all over my garden. But I love it. We'll keep it. In my green stalks, you will notice quite a few herbs. Most of those things are what I harvest for my different tea blends that I make, along with the medicinals that I do put in with it. On a future video, we'll go over all the different types of mints that I have, as well as my medicinal garden. Again, I thank you for joining me on this walkthrough. Hope you come back and join me for the next video. Bye for now.